the Atomic Beast, and this is my co-host,
Scry.
And today's episode is going to be about Godzilla 2014. We have King of the Monsters coming up, so we're going to review the first movie in the series. Now, we're going to go over what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, and how it could have been improved in any way. So, Scry, I'm going to give you this scenario. It's 2014. It's about April. It's a month before May 16th, the release date of Godzilla 2014. You've seen just about everything online. You've seen the teaser trailer, the actual trailer, the Asia trailer, the website trailers that leaked not leaked, but showed all the footage of him that got people excited for it. And you're going to see the movie, assuming I don't know if you read any reviews, but if you did, what's your reaction going into the movie, and how do you expect it's going to play out?
Well, when I can tell you what happened when I actually went and saw the movie, I actually didn't read any reviews. I didn't care. I personally don't like reading official, movie reviews or whatever from people that's their job, because they're anyway, I don't read them. I don't like them. I disagree with them 100%. If anything, I'll go by what the general population says. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, how they'll have that. But I didn't look up anything on it as far as what people were saying or any reviews. That got the pre-screening and stuff. I just went into it going, okay, I hope it's not another 1998 disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know what to really expect. I thought they would use the whole Godzilla was made from nuclear testing or whatever. And I know that they said they weren't, even in the trailers they said they were trying to kill it. They weren't really experimenting.
Yeah.
But I thought they would do something with that whole storyline. Just because that's what Godzilla's always, that's what he's always been. I had no clue what the other monster was going to be, and I knew that it was going to be a new monster.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of excited for that, but I was also kind of, knowing that there was going to be another monster in the movie, I was kind of a little disappointed. But at the same time, I was like, okay, this is supposed to be a whole standalone movie. And it's not going to start where Godzilla is the bad guy coming on the city destroying land. There's going to be another monster in this. So I didn't really know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching it, and the first time I watched it, I was just like, yes, this is done right. This is so much better. Like, he didn't die from 6 missiles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, the kiss of death scene at the very end was... But I went and saw it like 3 more times in the theater. But I didn't know what to expect, really. I was really nervous because the last time America had attempted to do a Godzilla film, it was terrible. And I had really high hopes for this one, only because I knew that Gareth Edwards had directed a critically acclaimed television series and also was on the books to direct the Star Wars Rogue One movie.
What was the TV series?
Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I thought you were gonna say Monsters. That's the first movie I heard.
No, that's the first movie he made. But
yeah, that's what I. When I heard his name, that's the first thing that got mentioned to me, and then I went and watched it.
No, he directed Breaking Bad. I'm pretty sure he's directed the majority of the seasons. I don't know if he's doing it now because he's making movies and being in movies, but that's what I knew, and everybody really liked Breaking Bad. So I was like, okay, well, if everybody really liked that, and it's one of those Game of Thrones type TV series where it's really involved and just draws you in, then he's going to be doing something right, and hopefully he won't screw this up. And so that's all. That was all I was thinking going into this movie, and I was pleased. I was pleasantly pleased and surprised with the outcome of the movie, and I still wasn't sure it was going to do very well because the biggest problem of it, which everybody agrees with, is the lack of screen time Godzilla actually had in the movie.
Yeah.
But it did really well in the box office. I mean, it did well enough for them to be able to make another one.
Which expected. I didn't expect it would do bad, but
I didn't expect it to do enough to make them do a sequel on like a direct sequel to this version of Godzilla. So I was just like, when I heard that and how well it did around the world, I was just like, this I don't know what they were gonna do. Like my mind was getting blown. I mean, we had already knew, they had already teased that they had the rights to Mothra, Ghidorah, and Rodan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
plus there was that Easter egg, which I missed the first time, but the second time I went back and saw it, and I got it.
The Easter egg?
Yeah, remember when they're going when Ford and what's the dad's name again? Why can't I remember?
Fuck, I can't remember his name either.
Ford and the dad are going through Genji, like the town.
Do you know why we can't remember his name? Because he was only alive for fucking 45 minutes of that movie.
Yeah. Well, they're going through the Janjiro ruins, the town nearby.
Yeah. You're talking about like the Mothra that was in the little cage thing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it said it was a tank, and it said moth, and it had a little piece of tape on the end, and it said Thra or Ra, Moth Ra, and that was the little Easter egg in there.
But I didn't know that. I thought those were just. I saw all those Easter eggs. Like even there was some in the classroom too, talking about Mothra, and I thought that was interesting how he kept referencing Mothra. I didn't see too many things of Rodan. I
don't think there was anything of Rodan.
And I don't remember seeing anything for Ghidorah. But I thought it was interesting about Mothra, how Mothra was constantly being referenced. There was a Ghidorah one. I'm sorry, there was a Ghidorah one.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
The very end.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's the dragon head in the ruins where the Muto's laying his eggs or her eggs.
Right. But what did you expect? Like I just went in there going, I hope it's not another 1998.
Yeah.
That's all I went in hoping for. I didn't really expect anything else.
Yeah. So I'll run you through leading up to it. So I remember I was a sophomore in college, and before that, previously, I think in like 2012, I want to say, I heard that they were making the new movie. Like that's all I heard of it, was just that there is a Godzilla coming eventually. Mm-hmm. And apparently, I forget which Comic-Con it was. It might have been the 2012 Comic-Con, where they showed that first teaser with the footage of everything destroyed with Robert J. Oppenheimer's audio or narration. And we got that very blurry image of, do you remember? The very first image of, it's all brown and dusty, and you could barely make out Godzilla's silhouette there.
I don't remember that one.
I'll put it up. But it was the first leaked image we ever got of him. And I was like, holy shit, it's happening. Like, he's actually coming back. So, I'm a sophomore in college now. Well, then I was a sophomore in college. And all of a sudden one day I get back to my dorm and it said online everywhere, leaked Comic-Con footage is up. So I searched everywhere for it. It got posted in a Godzilla group that I joined at the time. So I went on YouTube, saved the best quality version of it, watched it, and I probably watched it about roughly 15 times in that day. I was so excited when I saw that trailer. I can't even describe it. I was calling all my friends into the room, like from the next room. I'm like, guys, you gotta see this. Get in here now. You have to see this trailer. And they even thought it was cool. So then they started releasing more and more. I think the first teaser they released was the Halo jump scene. Remember from the goggle view? I'm pretty sure that was the very first teaser, their official teaser they ever released.
I thought the first official teaser. Oh, you're talking about for the movie, not the when Godzilla's walking through the city or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about the interactive thing?
The interactive thing with that Comic-Con. That was the
first that later, and I saved that video too, where it was like the Godzilla experience or something, and you see him walking through the buildings, and then his face comes up to the window. Yeah, I was mad excited when I saw that too. So then that teaser got leaked, and I was excited for it. Then the official trailer for it got leaked, and I can remember this exactly. I was in my chemistry class. It was during lab time, and someone was actually giving a presentation. Like, lights were off. I was about to go up for a presentation, and like after like 2 more people, I was listening to this person give their presentation, and I had my laptop open because I knew that day. I knew what time it was being released too, because they said trailer being released at this time. So I had my laptop open. I got the notification, and I watched it with the audio off while one of my classmates was giving a presentation. And like this other kid saw me watching it, and I was just like, holy shit, that's awesome. Even though I watched it without audio. So going back later, I watched it with audio. I thought it was good. I did notice. What do you think about his roar? What?
What do you think about his roar?
I liked it. I really liked it. It's it kind of actually reminds me of the '98 Big Roar a little bit. How it was like more high pitched. It reminds me of that a little bit. It's pretty similar. But overall, I did like it. The only thing is I found it weird how that's the only roar you heard from him. Like, I wish we heard a more variety of roars from him.
Oh, we did.
There weren't that many. Like, growls, yes, but not like...
Growls, snarls, quick snaps and stuff like that for whenever he was getting knocked on his ass.
Yeah. Which
I have them all.
I think they could have done a better job with. I mean, it sounds like you're like rubbing a nail against steel or something. When he is hurt, he's going like, nah. It's kind of weird. But so then the movie came out May 16th, and my girlfriend at the time was like, yeah, we can go see it. And well, because I asked her before. So I actually got out of school. My very last final of my sophomore year was May 14th. And I actually went back to work right after that. But I was like, fuck it. I don't care how early I have to get up. I don't care how early I have to get up tomorrow. I need to see this movie on release date. Right. So my brother actually saw it before me. He went to, I think, like the 10 o'clock screening or something like that. I went to a later one. And he texted me. He was like, it's okay. Let me know what you think. And my brother is not even a big Godzilla fan either. So I see it. And I was like, same reaction as everyone. It was okay. He just didn't get enough screen time. And
I thought it was actually really well done.
It was well done. It just didn't fit the type of movie that people wanted to see.
Or was expecting to see, maybe.
After what, 10 years? 10 years, right? Because 2004, 2014? Yeah, 10 years. Final Wars was 2004 to 2014. It's just not what we expected after a 10-year wait. So I actually tried to tell myself, like, no, this is a good fucking movie. It's probably, like, my favorite movie. And then over time, like, people kept asking me, they're like, did you like it? Did you like it? Did you like it? And more, the first time I was like, yeah. The second time I was like, yeah. Third time I was like, yeah. Fourth time I was like, yeah. So, like, it progressively kept getting worse. Like, the more and more I realized, like, I couldn't get over the screen time. I'm just like, all right, I can't get over it anymore. Like, I really didn't like the movie that much, but I loved his design. It's my favorite design to date, and the monster battle was pretty good, but I felt like it with CGI it could have been done a little better. Like there was no clear, like monster gashes on them or anything like that, major claw marks, if you know what I mean. The only time you really see like blood or anything like that is when he smashes the male Muto into the building. You see it bleeding, which I thought was awesome.
Actually, I think he has a scar on his eye.
Like
and
across his eye,
when
or
he falls.
Or are you talking about up here from the new trailer?
No. It's like on his cheek. If you go back and watch the scene where the building's collapsing on him and he falls down next to Jason Brody, gives a really good shot, like a really nicely lit shot of his face, and he's been fucked up before in the face.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stuff that came from the Muda. They weren't fresh. They were messed up scars. he's been fucked up in the face before.
Yeah.
But
that was my review of the movie. Basically, I just tried to get myself to like it, but the more
what did you
I was
like
seeing
about
it, what did I like
about it? Yeah, we'll go into that subject next.
Number one, his design, best Godzilla design to date. Number two, his ferocity. I love this was a vicious Godzilla. You gotta admit, like the most vicious out of any Godzilla we've seen. And he just was not afraid to fuck shit up at all, and he looked very mean, menacing. I'm trying to think what else I liked in it. I really liked how he killed the male Muto. That was cool. His atomic
tail swipe into the building?
Yeah. As I said in the last episode, his first appearance, I don't think anything is ever going to beat that.
The airport appearance?
The airport appearance. I don't think any movie from here out or appearance he'll ever make will beat that appearance. Because it was just awesome. Besides them cutting away from it. I loved it. And I was going to say one more thing. Oh, the atomic breath reveal. How he used it and when he used it, I thought the timing was perfect. And the scene around it was awesome. How it was dark, and then foggy, and then you see him come out of the fog, and there's lightning in the back.
His dorsal plates were lighting up.
Yeah, and then the lightning was in the back.
Was there lightning in the background?
There was. Lightning flashed, and that's when you actually saw him. And then when he puffs up his chest, that's when he comes out of the fog into view.
Yeah, that's right. I love that part. That was he's just like.
That's the best part of the entire. That's the best part of the entire movie, honestly.
I can just imagine someone might do this, throw up a cut of that scene, and then Goku go Kamehameha.
No one's done that yet. I've seen a lot of edits of it. I've seen a lot of edits of it though. One person did it. One person made it red. They adjusted the hue so that it turns red. And then another person added additional effect to it because where it's how it's like a straight beam in the new movie. Well, some person edited it so that it's got the classic really it fills his mouth completely, and then there's the cloud around it. Yeah, someone did that too, so it just looks bigger. It basically from the new trailer when he fires it up into the air, it looks exactly like that. Someone just edited it previously around that time to make it bigger.
Did you think his atomic breath was a good version of it? You liked the way it looked?
I was okay with it not being super overpowered. I as weird as that sounds, I do like more close combat stuff. So I do like when he actually kills monsters using something besides that.
Right.
So I did it was a good reveal. I like how it just weakened the Muto, and then he finished her off with it later. But yeah, I liked it. It was I don't know. People were saying it was too thin, how normally it fills his mouth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. People were saying it was too thin, but it's just more. It's just a little more realistic. But I was fine with it.
It almost looked like a flamethrower. They were trying to do almost like a blue transparent flamethrower style effect.
Yeah.
Because the flames off the beam itself were floating back up, so it was almost like a lightsaber with fire around it.
Yeah.
Blue fire.
Yeah, I liked it.
What else did you like? So you liked his design, you liked the monster battles.
Let's see, what else did I like? I like the scale of it. People, that was Edwards' forte, was showing the scale of everything from a human perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. And then I think that's about covers it. That's everything I liked about it. Which, that's a majority of it. So what did you like about it?
All of it. I thought it was really well done. I disliked, like everybody else, the lack of screen time, but that's only because it had been a while since we got a proper good Godzilla fight. In the Millennial series, like Final Wars, that movie kind of upset me because it was so much like a Power Ranger movie. It was ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still Godzilla, and it is what it is. But I like everything about this movie, minus a few things. But what I really liked about it after I got done watching it was how much it set up a brand new world for Godzilla to be a part of in a different way than he's ever been before. Because before he's always been a nuclear monster. In this one, they said that he existed, you know, before the dinosaurs were alive. So, and there's evidence that there was more than one, which is something that has not really been explored heavily in the Godzilla franchise except for the anime. And now, this movie. I mean, we've always had Godzilla movies with the son of Godzilla, but we never had any movies like where there were Godzillas that came before this one that gave birth to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And the possibility of multiple Godzillas existing at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see that, but that's what they set up with this, and that's why I really like the Monsterverse. And you know, as a writer and a producer, and I mean, I practically make movies just without video, right? There's acting, sound effects, all that kind of stuff. And as a writer, what Gareth Edwards did with the movie, as far as the human characters, setting up the plot, the dialogue, all that kind of stuff, I thought it was really good. It made sense. It was very accurate, and what I really liked the most was how vulnerable he made Godzilla.
How, like not just that he was overpowered.
Right. Like
Yeah,
the Godzilla in the Monsterverse may be one of the biggest, but I'm willing to bet he's one of the weakest in the entirety of all the different Godzillas that there are. Like just based off of
Mm-hmm.
his what we know in the Monsterverse of him. Like we don't know that he has super regenerative powers. We're just assuming this. We don't know anything specific about him because they haven't tried to probe him. They haven't said anything studying him or anything. Like there's nothing even on the fan website for King of the Monsters talking about Godzilla's powers, minus the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, Godzilla. There's as far as the Godzilla franchise goes, Godzilla isn't just he isn't just a monster that has an atomic breath that walks around. Like his actual superpower is the fact that he can regenerate almost instantly. It's like he's like the monster equivalent to a Hulk. You know what I mean? That's his actual superpower because he basically can outlast his opponents. It's not his atomic breath. That's just like the icing on the cake. He's got a nuclear pulse that that came out in the Heisei series that was used and seen I think it was used in the Millennial series.
He did it against Mechagodzilla 2. I know that much.
Yeah, so he has the nuclear pulse, which is I remember when I was younger, I had got a book called the Godzilla Compendium, which went into very extreme detail because it was written by Japanese and then translated into English.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that in that Godzilla's nuclear pulse in the Heisei series was much stronger than even his red atomic blast.
Yeah.
And that's something that most people don't even talk about with Godzilla.
He has a few powers that people don't really talk about. One thing I remember asking, actually, I was asking questions back and forth, what should be in this movie, what shouldn't, in the group I was in at the time, and I said, should Godzilla have any connection to lightning? And a bunch of people said no. And I said, interesting. Why do you say no? And they just said, I forget exactly what they said, but they basically just said no. Like, they want no ties to electricity and Godzilla. I said, well, you must not have seen Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, where he supercharges himself on the island from electricity. You must have not seen Godzilla Tokyo SOS, where the beginning scene is him battling the army, and he roars, and lightning strikes his dorsal fins.
Well, I think...
Against Mechagodzilla 2, if you remember, they released the shock charges in him. Mechagodzilla malfunctions.
You're talking about the G Crusher.
Yes.
You're talking about the other weapon that Mecha King Ghidorah had that electrocuted the shit out of him.
Yeah, but if you remember, there was a scene in Mechagodzilla 2 where he fires the what is it? G Crusher? The G Crusher on the wires that shock him.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you remember...
Make his brain explode.
If you remember, he reverses the current at one part.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually causes Mechagodzilla to malfunction. So he is tied to electricity.
Well,
forget that.
That happened after Rodan sacrificed himself.
No, that was before. It was before.
No.
It was when they first met. Like, Mechagodzilla first landed, and the first time they used it, they reversed it. He reversed the current.
That was his pulse going off. If you go back and watch it again, you'll see the animation for the little pulse that he has.
Yeah.
You'll see his pulse go off and shoot the electricity back into Ghidorah. Or into Mechagodzilla, sorry.
Yeah, and that's the first battle, when he knocks him over and then walks away.
But he doesn't, the only actual tie to electricity in any movie was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the first one. Outside of that, electricity's actually been used against him as a weapon to great effect.
Yeah, it has. Godzilla vs. Mothra, they did it.
King Kong, Mothra, like every Ghidorah, like all of them. There's been so many movies where they set up power lines as barriers to keep Godzilla from going through. Of course, he always pushes his way through, but
yeah,
he doesn't like that shit.
Yeah.
But no, I really liked how they set up the storyline, because that's what's most important. Yeah, I know everybody wanted to see a lot more Godzilla, and I was okay with the fact that there wasn't as much. Like, honestly, what pissed me off about what we saw of Godzilla was actually when we saw him during the airport scene and they cut away to show the news footage.
That was just stupid.
That pissed me off. Like, I'm okay with, honestly, even if they only showed just take away the news footage and put us in the scene so we can see it clearly and hear them fighting and stuff. Even if all you show us is those same exact scenes, just don't do it like that. Like, that pissed me off. That felt like such a kick in the balls. But it made sense story-wise. Like, for the flow of the story, it made sense because they were trying to show in real time what his wife was doing when this was going down, and the best way to do that was to show live news footage coming from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it made sense. Like, so it made sense, it was good. It just just wanted to, like, after that intro,
like, just keep him in the scene.
Yeah, just keep him in the scene. Like, after that intro, you don't do that shit. You don't cut away to show, news footage. Oh, so bad.
Yeah.
But the way he ended it, the way he ended the movie was perfect, because in the Monsterverse so far, nobody has done any real data. I mean, Monarch has, but not on any of the live. So there's no probing, no scans, no nothing. In the old Japanese movies, Showa, Heisei, it doesn't matter. They always had shit that, like, graphs and stuff or computer images of Godzilla's inner workings and reading his energy and heat levels. And we didn't see any of that kind of shit in this movie. It was all about the human drama.
Yeah.
Which is okay. You need it, because Godzilla, as much as people may not like the human aspect of the Godzilla movies, if it wasn't for the human aspect, we wouldn't have Godzilla movies, because that's what it's all about. It's not about Godzilla, it's about what we do because in the face of Godzilla. You know, it's like, how's it affecting the humans? It's always been, how's it affecting the humans? It's not about, Godzilla's a good guy, protector of the earth, da, da, da. Like, no, it's how is it affecting humans? That's always what it's always been about. That's what every single one of the stories has been about.
Yeah,
and he told it.
I get it. It's just you have to blend them a certain way so that it makes both work.
Well,
which is a crucial part as well.
He did that because with this story, he set up Monarch. He set up the monster's background a little bit, like just hinting at it, right?
Yeah.
And he set up the fact that they've been around and been active over half a century of us being around. You know what I mean? Like, in our lifetimes, these monsters are supposed to be active. So, but he didn't get extremely specific because he told the story about Jason Brody, I think, or Ford Brody. Ford Brody trying to get his family, get back to his wife. Like, that's the story that he was telling, and the monsters were just the plot movers, just like in the anime trilogy. And he set it up to where Michael Dougherty could now come in, bring in Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra, give Monarch more of a predominant storyline with the characters returning to be more in this movie instead of focusing on one military DOD specialist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that regard, as the first movie to a whole new storyline for Godzilla, it was really good. It did the job well. It gave us just enough to want more, and just enough for it to do well enough to get a sequel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the main thing was after that, a bunch of people I saw on my friends list were even posting that they went to go see it. Not Godzilla fans, just like average people that posting
that they wanted to go see it.
That they went to go see it. And just about everyone said the same thing. How could you have a Godzilla movie but only 7-8 minutes of Godzilla?
12 technically, or 12 or 13 minutes technically. Total screen time.
No,
we're talking about we're talking about the credit rolls. We're talking about the scene where they nuke him at the very beginning. Like, all of that added up, every single shot with Godzilla in it is a
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they did that, and it was still 8 minutes.
No. It's like 13.
I'll have to go back and check. I could have
anyway, but the fact that he only got 13 minutes of screen time in a 2-hour movie, which is also the longest movie in Godzilla history, it's kind of fucking dumb. He should have got at least 25 to 30 minutes.
So we'll start incorporating how it could have been improved at the same time. So I was going to say before, airport scene, he pops up. This is what I would have been fine with if I saw. Godzilla roars at Muto. It cuts away for a second, and I'm fine with the cutting away. Show them on the TV for a second, just looking at each other. Cut back to the actual fight. They run at each other. You can cut back to the TV if you want to show Godzilla hitting him or something. So you see where I'm getting at? Cut back and forth so you can see it from the kid and the wife watching it on TV, but at the same time you're still watching the battle happen. Even from how they did it too, when everyone's looking up at Muto as he's walking over the monorail, how you're looking up, you can show it from the people at the airport's view, even from like the glass window where you saw Godzilla's foot. Like, if we saw that, I would have been fine. And then, the battle could have been 1 or 2 minutes. Doesn't even matter. And then the Muto gets away and Godzilla hops in the water, and then go on with the rest. But that could have fixed a major piece right there. Agree? Disagree?
I agree. It would have satiated the fans' want and desire to see more, like to see Godzilla doing something more than just being on the screen. However, I agree that it would have been cooler to see the shots not in the newscast thing, but I don't think that there should have actually been a battle. Because there really wasn't a battle. The Muto snapped and hissed at Godzilla, and they swung at each other for a second, and then he flew off. Like they didn't actually have a battle.
Well, yeah, it could be that, but that's how you make it. That's how you make it seem like it's lasting longer than it actually is. When you keep cutting back and forth from their view to the TV to another.
But realistically, there was no reason. Like thinking about it from the point of view of, if you were to actually be there in the movie, let's say the movie was real, you were to put yourself there as a character, it would have kind of been a little bit overkill, I think, if they would have tried to extend the amount of what we saw. I just think that showing it on the news screen was a bad way to show it. I think they could have shown the scene, like when they were showing the helicopter crashing into the Muto and stuff, and then you had the reveal of Godzilla. Like, they could have done more shots like that for the entire airport scene, and then as the Muto was leaving, or even before the battle was over, they cut to Ford's wife and showing the new scenes of the Muto finally leaving and Godzilla chasing after him. That would have been okay, but they didn't show much of a battle, and for good reason. If Godzilla would have fought the male Muto at all, he would have killed it.
Yeah.
Because the only reason there was even a decently long battle at the end of the movie was because there were two Mutos, and only because of that could they even fight Godzilla. There had to be two of them.
So the original script I read before the movie even came out, I don't know if it was legit or what, but apparently Godzilla was supposed to thrash that male Muto at the airport and leave it half dead, and then it gets away. That's what I heard was supposed to happen. Or that's what I read was supposed to happen.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, so it could have a fight, but
I wonder why they would have, that would have been really, I think that would have been...
And then it comes back, and then it can't fight it on its own. It uses echolocation to find the other one, and that's why they team up on Godzilla.
I think
could have been better.
I think my biggest thing that I would have fixed about the movie, depending on if you want to look at it from a traditionalist point of view, is all of the original Godzilla movies, or let me rephrase, all of the Japanese Godzilla movies have always been science fiction.
Yeah.
This is not science fiction. This movie is a fantasy movie. Because not once have they done any kind of anything typical of a science fiction movie. Hell, even Star Wars will do it. They'll talk about the engines or whatever. They'll say something, technical, which makes it science fiction. This is a straight up fantasy movie, and we, as a Godzilla fan base, have never seen this before. We've never had a movie like this before.
Yeah, but
we've never had a Godzilla movie like this.
Like how we talked about in the last episode, like Marvel is starting to do it. They're taking things that can't possibly happen and have no connection to science and actually connecting it to science.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is all of the Godzilla movies, even from the 1950s, like the original first one, they were always science fiction movies. Mm-hmm. They were always science fiction movies. And this one specifically, and this is honestly why I think it's what will make it work. So when we're talking about the airport scene and him thrashing the Mutos, right? Imagine the military was there, right? And then the Muto knocked him out with the EMP. But there were still military people there, and they still could have, and probably should have been monitoring the situation and monitoring and watching Godzilla, basically. Even if they couldn't do anything, they should have been observing so they could report back. And if it was made in a traditional Japanese Godzilla style, they would have been there talking about this, that, and the other, and the EMP blast and all this kind of, like, they didn't even really mention the EMP blast. They showed us again with a fucking TV news screen about the EMP thing. They didn't even really go into detail about how it worked or how he did it or where it came from. You know what I mean? The Japanese would have. They all, like, they did that with every single monster. Like, you just think about the Destroyer movie. They talk so much about how Destroyer, like, the biology of it and stuff. You know what I mean? And if they would have done that, that whole fight scene could have played out a little bit longer and felt like a much longer fight scene. But they didn't. This is a fantasy movie. This isn't a science fiction movie.
Yeah, well, now that you mention that, you know what I just thought of? And this could probably be a plot hole there.
Mm.
When the Muto released the EMP in the woods near Honolulu, he knocked out all the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that on live news? If the power was out. I just realized.
The power came back on. Remember, because the train started moving towards the Muto, and then that's when the Muto knocks the train.
Well, that's a backup generator for the train. They have their own generators.
The whole airport was shown to have power.
Oh, alright, I guess I missed that. Alright, that's fair enough.
But that would have been yeah, no, the whole airport had power. But yeah, no, that honestly, that's the only thing that I would change about it. If I could make it better to appeal to the nostalgia for the fans of Godzilla, to really make it feel like a real Godzilla movie, which I think they're going to do with King of the Monsters, because
they are.
You know, yeah, we anyway.
So how
they
summarize it one more time? How would you make that scene better? What would you do? The airport scene.
I would have shown more of the encounter in I guess first person would be the best way, instead of third person over the news. I would have shown more of the encounter, probably all of the events of the encounter leading up to just before the two monsters decide to split and the Muta decides to run away.
Yeah.
And then that would have cut to show the footage on the news, so that way, you know, they could have been like, you know, this was happening while she was giving the kid a bath. You know what I mean?
No, he was just laying on the couch.
Oh, I'm thinking about the first time when he tried to call her and her phone was on vibrate.
Yeah, no, he was on the couch, and then was he? Yeah, he was sleeping.
No, he was on the. No, he was watching the news on the couch, and then he turned around and said, "Mommy, look."
No. He was. I'm pretty sure he was sleeping, and then.
Nope, he was awake.
I'm trying to remember the scene now.
I promise.
I thought he was sleeping, and the mom said it calls him for dinner or something, or to go to his room or something like that, and then he wakes up and then looks at the TV and says, "Mom, look, dinosaur."
I think she does. I think she does tell him to get ready for dinner, but he was awake because he was just watching the TV. He didn't even say anything. He was just watching it, and this shit, and the whole thing was going on. And then she says, "Go get ready for dinner or whatever." And she goes, "Mommy, look, dinosaur or whatever." And she sees it. And
hold on, I'm gonna look this up right now because I have it under my favorites.
That whole scene.
Yeah, airport scene. I definitely saved.
I think the airport scene had a lot more potential to be grander than it was.
I think that was the key scene. Like, if they just made that one scene better, it would have made the whole movie better.
Well, and they built up so much to it. I mean, showing that massive tsunami that came inland as Godzilla was coming in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that stuff leading up to, and then Godzilla walking through the city and never showing his face until he actually gets to the point where he's at the airport.
Yep. Okay, wait, I was right. Watch this. Hold on.
He wasn't asleep.
Watch. See? He's asleep. And he just opened his eye.
Right.
But yeah, he was asleep. And she just said, turn the TV off. So that's when it happened. But probably the news woke him up. That's probably what it was. But yeah, he was asleep.
Okay, I thought he was watching it.
Yeah, but I feel like that was just a crucial scene in the movie, and if they improved that, then it would have done wonders for the rest of it.
Oh yeah, that would probably be the only thing I'd change. A little less on the drama, on the human aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as I get, it's like I get why he did it, and I get why he wrote it the way he wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
But and it makes sense. I don't want to say it was a bad story.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it could have been done better.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, people were saying it had the Jaws feel to it, right? Where you keep seeing little glimpses, and then finally you see the shark later at the end of the movie. And people who were critics of that movie made a good point. They said that worked in 1970 whatever.
Yeah, but it's 2019.
But
or it's 2014.
It's 40 years later. And the idea has been used countless times, so it's just old. And unless you do it perfectly, it's not going to work anymore.
Well, the thing is, even if you're not a Godzilla fan, there's a disconnect already because we already know that something like Godzilla couldn't exist as far as we know, according to the laws of physics.
Yeah.
So we already know that, they're already in there knowing that they're not going to be scared. So why fucking bother? You know what I mean? Don't try to do the Jaws thing. Don't try to do something like that. You can still make Godzilla scary and make him menacing, but you can't do it you can't make it a horror movie.
I thought the first part did an actual good job at that. When you see the flares go off, and then you see just how big he is with that rumbling sound in the back, that was good. That showed off. That showed off that he's huge. He's menacing. All the people are looking at him, and they're scared shitless. They don't know how to react to this giant thing walking right in front of them. That was good. That made him look very menacing. And then leading up to the first reveal, it was perfect. But just after the first reveal, I don't get why you would keep going back to the idea of teasing him more and then waiting till the end to show him. We already see him now. We should just get him.
Well, again, I don't know why he did it, but the way the story plays out, it all makes sense. Because you gotta also remember, this happens in a weekend. All of these events happened in a weekend.
Yeah.
The authorizing to use a nuclear bomb, the getting the Westpac fleet to get closer to, wherever Godzilla is and to tail him and to be hanging out with him, and you know what I mean? That all happened in a weekend. Realistically, none of that shit would have happened. Realistically, I was in the Navy, and I know that there is no way that they would have been able to mobilize that fast and have all of that stuff the way that they had it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Because it was a weekend one, which meant all of the non-deployed military personnel were off at home with their families.
Yeah.
All the deployed military personnel probably weren't in the... Okay, so you got to think. Hawaii to San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
So Hawaii to the west coast of California, most of the time there are no actual naval ships in that area unless they're at Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. There's we don't necessarily we go through that area, but we don't patrol that area. We patrol the coast of Asia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where we're at. So it would have taken them a minimum of probably about 20 hours to 24 hours, a whole day's worth of travel at full speed to get to Hawaii from where they were.
Yeah. Here's another question, because we saw the scene with it. Do you, and I'll defend this right after I say it, because there is a part that partially explains it. But do you really think battleships that big or aircraft carriers can keep up with Godzilla swimming? Because you did notice that, right?
How fast, when he pulled away from them, how fast did they say he was going?
I can't remember, but yeah, he dove deeper, and then he swam faster. But still, if you're swimming at slow pace,
I remember them saying giving a nautical mile per hour.
Yeah.
And he was actually at a cruising speed of, I think, like 20 something. I can't remember. But they gave a speed at how fast he was going, and then they said he was speeding up, and they never actually said what his top speed was. I do believe they could keep up with Godzilla if Godzilla was just cruising. If he was actually swimming with the purpose, no, not at all. Actually, I don't even know if I should say this because it's not supposed to be widely known. I don't think you can actually just look this information up. The official fastest any Navy ship can go is 30 knots an hour, which is roughly, it's a little bit more than 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a nautical mile is what, like, isn't it like 1.1, 1.2 per mile or something like that?
Yeah.
Slightly
above,
yeah.
So the fastest, even if you look on any ship, you'll see the speedometer on it. The fastest it goes to is 30, but you can go faster because we did.
Well, there's also, do you factor in drift current? That can push it a little bit.
You don't. They don't give a shit, dude. That ship is designed to be dynamic. To be able to go through the water dynamically without incurring a lot of issues, unless of course it's running through a storm and there are really high waves, in which case the reason why then a ship has problems being in the water is because there's different heights of water and the ship wasn't designed to fly.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen that.
And so, like, honestly, what I kind of wondered was why didn't at least one of those ships should have capsized when Godzilla came up out of the water and pushed them all off of them?
Yeah.
But that was actually pretty realistic. Like that, all the interactions with the Navy that you saw, that's probably how it would have actually gone down.
Yeah. Okay.
They wouldn't have. I don't know about firing on a bridge full of people and children, but their formations, the fact that they were trying to blockade off the entryway into the bay, all that stuff was pretty damn accurate.
And then, so let's fast forward a little bit more into the movie, and this part normally doesn't annoy me. I can get past it, but it annoyed me when I saw this and after I realized it. Godzilla's swimming below the Golden Gate Bridge, right? Completely submerged.
Mm-hmm.
He stands up and he's taller than the Golden Gate Bridge. Not possible.
No, he wasn't taller.
Yeah, he was.
No, the area where he was at, if you watch the movie again, he's at the point where the bridge has... So the bridge has, like, the pillars, right?
Yeah.
He was standing at the point where the wire is at its lowest point on the bridge between pillars.
Are you
That's
sure?
where he was.
I saw in a picture that it compared the scale of that, and it said Godzilla would have to be, like, 700 or something feet to be able to reach that. I'm pretty sure.
I'm looking at the Godzilla versus the Golden Gate Bridge right now.
Okay.
But I don't have it on my phone, so I can't just like do what you did and show everybody.
No.
I'm pretty sure that's where he was. Yeah, because you can see it. You can see the lowest point of the bridge because that's where he grabs it.
Yeah.
And if
wait. Isn't the bridge? No, the bridge is at the same level across. It doesn't curve.
It is, but
It doesn't arc.
You're talking about where the road is. Where the road isn't the total height. You got to account for the pillars that are keeping the bridge up in between. That's the height of the bridge. It's not just the road that they're talking about. But he's accurate. No, this is accurate.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, just type in Godzilla versus Golden Gate Bridge. You'll see. And then watch him when he bursts through the bridge. See, you get a really good shot of just how...
I know after he gets hit with the missiles, you see him walking more towards land. And like, that explains that part. Is the water... Or how deep is the water below the Golden Gate Bridge? Not all of the bay is so shallow, though. Near the Golden Gate Bridge, the waters have depths of more than 300 feet. For example, the depth is more than 100 feet between Angel Island and Alcatraz.
Okay, so the bridge road in the movie, where Godzilla's standing, comes up to his, like, just below his chest, like where his stomach area would be, his abdomen.
Yeah.
That's where the road of the bridge comes up to. But look up the total height of the bridge.
Total height.
And you'll see. Golden Bridge height. $746 tall.
Yeah.
So if Godzilla's not even half that size, and the road comes up to almost his chest, it's pretty accurate. Because his chest would be a little over half of his height, right? And he's 315 feet?
50.
No, are you sure?
Yes, 350.
I thought, no.
350 because Shin Godzilla is about 50 feet, a little over 50 feet taller than him.
Alright.
104 meters. I'm pretty,
oh yeah, you're right, 350 feet. 100, original, so 64.
Shin Godzilla is about 400 and change.
So if the road of the bridge comes up to right under his chest area, then that's about 175 feet.
But he was taller than that in that scene where he grabs the cable. It
only looks that way because of the angles. It only looks that way because of the angles. When you pull back, when they do that pullback shot and you see him walking away from the bridge that he just knocked over, you can see that the bridge is clearly taller than him.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying the level of the road.
Oh. Nope. Okay. Golden Gate Bridge road height. How high up is that road from?
That's all.
Oh, here it goes. Okay. The total length of the bridge is 1.7 miles. Okay, the total width, length. Okay. The height of the tower above water is 746 feet. The height of the tower above the roadway is 500 feet. The tower base dimension, okay, the load, the weight.
So then what's it between the ocean, the top of the ocean?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. Hold
on, let me see if I can get a picture of it. But anyway, from what I saw...
No, it's legit. If he's 350 feet, and the roadway, the height of a tower above roadway is 500 feet. Okay, so here's the deal. All you gotta do, hang on, let me pull up my calculator. 746 minus 500. 246 feet above water is what the road is. Which makes sense if Godzilla's 350 feet. So he's about 100 feet taller. He's about 100 feet higher than that roadway, but he's not anywhere near taller than the bridge itself.
But then take into account how deep the water is. And then that's extra. Because that just calculated from the top of the water to the bridge.
Okay.
So, okay. I think I found a good diagram of it. Alright. Can you see this? Hold on. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, he grabs this cable right here. This little line right there.
No, it was further in the middle.
So, over here.
Yeah, he was in the... He knocked out the middle.
So, look how deep this water is here.
Mm-hmm. How deep is it?
That from... Hold on. Alright, so from, if you could see this, from the water to the top of this tower right here is 230 meters. So let's take about a quarter of that, which is, what's a quarter of 230?
It says, here it goes. South Tower foundation depth below mean low water is 110 feet.
Okay, so then, alright, let's go 230 divided by 4.
And that's the south
57
tower.
meters. Alright, so that's 57 meters I'll say, at the road height. Between the top of the water and the middle of the road height, where you said he was. So, 54 meters in feet. That's 177 feet. Plus the water, which is still deeper. And he'd never be able to make it.
Hang on. I'm watching the scene again.
You'll see, but I remember the scale was just very off. And they did the same thing Pacific Rim did, if you remember, where they're fighting Leatherback and Otachi, who are fully submerged, and then they could stand, no problem. So it was kind of the same.
He wasn't fully submerged. He got up and... Okay, so it does really kind of make sense, actually. Yeah. Because when he rolls up on the ships, right, he's above water.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, parts of him are above water. But
still, he comes up.
And then he stands up.
But he still wouldn't be as tall as he was.
If the...
Alright, but anyway.
Is he directly in the center?
I'm pretty sure.
It's hard to tell where he's at exactly, but the thing is, the water underneath the bridge isn't deep in every place. And depending on where Godzilla is...
I get that, but there's only 2 parts where that wire curves down onto the road, and that's both towards the middle. They're both towards the middle of the water, of the deepest part of the water.
But he's not directly in the middle of the bridge. Oh yeah, he is. Oh, there it goes. It pans out and shows the hole. He literally destroyed half of the...
So that was basically the center. He crashed in between.
Wait, hang on.
But anyway, this is too...
Yeah, this is a bad... I mean, if you're trying to go for that much realism, then he should have done his homework.
Yeah, but anyway, that annoyed some people. But, alright, let's move further into the movie. So
why that annoys some people doesn't, they need to get a fucking life.
Whatever. Alright, so let's move further in the movie. Golden Gate Bridge scene happens, which I liked. I actually did like the scene. It was another good, representation of, looking up at Godzilla, the human perspective and the scale and everything like that. So, Then let's fast forward to Godzilla makes landfall. We see what's her name, the wife in the city.
Mm-hmm.
They all go in the bunker or whatever. Muto flies at him, and then it cuts away from the fight again. What's your reaction?
What the fuck?
Exactly. And that's why I said the first fight could have saved the entire movie, because then you could cut away from that. Potentially.
Well,
like, it still doesn't make it okay, but it makes it a little better because we've still seen something. But now at this point we're teased twice.
Well,
and there's been no monster battles.
I don't think if I was going to change anything, I would have changed the director. However, I say that not trying to be an asshole towards Gareth Edwards, because I do think he's a really good storyteller and a great director, but he is really good at other types of stories. He is not the greatest or even a good sci-fi director.
No,
and
I agree.
He did not do any of that in this film. You don't do the things like what you were just talking about, cutting away right when the Muto and Godzilla are going at it and the doors close and you're like, what the fuck? You don't do that shit in a proper sci-fi movie. The Star Wars fucking doesn't do that shit, and he did it, and that's why Rogue One, as good as it was, wasn't received as well as it probably could have been.
Yeah.
So it's evident in the sense that, and then of course you talk about his first actual monster movie called Monsters, where there was no fucking monsters in that movie.
Yeah, which I'll talk about that in a second. Actually, I forgot. I skipped over that part because I forgot before leading into it, but I'll get into it.
But my point is, if I was to change anything, it would just be the director. Not even. I don't think the story for this movie was bad. I just think how it was told was bad.
Yeah.
And not even in a traditional Godzilla sense. I'm talking about in a traditional sci-fi anything sense. Anything sci-fi. This Godzilla is always has been and should always remain a sci-fi genre of movies.
Mm-hmm.
To try to make it into a fantasy, you run into these issues like people complaining about the fact that Godzilla, destroyed the Golden Gate Bridge the way he did and shouldn't have. Like, that's a legitimate argument, especially if you're going to make a movie based in current time, you know what I mean? And you're trying to make it realistic like that, and put all these realistic elements in there and all this kind of stuff, then you got to go the extra mile and do your research.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that's why Godzilla has always been a sci-fi monster. It's never been about, like... I mean, I can't think of one Godzilla movie that had such a focus on the human drama about one, like, specific family that were nobodies in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always been human dramas, and they would always focus on special characters that had a major role to play. But Ford Brody was just trying to get to his parents. He almost became a Mary Sue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He was just always where he needed to be at the right time to be in the middle of all shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, another scene I thought they could have improved on, and this would have made a little more sense as well, is if during the train scene, remember? Or on the train tracks? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where they have the bomb?
Instead of Muto being there by himself, I think it would have been better. You have Muto there. It's dark. It's foggy. Godzilla comes out of nowhere. Like, you hear stomping in the background. He charges out of nowhere, and then has another encounter with Muto, and breaks the bridge and knocks Brody off of it. And that's when you cut to Brody waking up.
Again, if they would have put any other battles between Godzilla and the Muto, one-on-one, Godzilla would have won and the story would have been over.
Yeah, but the male could have... Or no, was it the female or the male?
That was a female.
That was the female, you're right. Yeah, alright, I guess that makes sense. I'll give you that. So, yeah, it would have been
it was another missed opportunity to do something really cool.
Yeah, it was. But, like, that's my thing. Like, you don't have to keep Godzilla in for 7 minutes, but just, keep giving him us for a little bit.
Keep giving us more Godzilla.
For a little bit. It doesn't have to be. It didn't have to be that much. You could have shown him. You could have shown his face underwater with him swimming, and I would have been like, "Oh, that's a cool
they
shot
showed
right
his
there."
spines on the top of the water swimming with the Navy.
Yeah, for 2 seconds, and then it cuts back, and then, if they showed, like how they show 98 swimming, like if they showed a cut of him, just like his face, or even before he dove underwater, just a cut of his face, and then he gets surprised or something, and then the alarms start going off, and they say Godzilla's diving, and then show us an image of Godzilla underwater of him diving down. I would have been fine with that, because it's just.
Didn't they show it from the point of view of being inside one of the Navy ships because they had a camera underwater watching him?
You saw the back of him. The back of him.
It was a really
and then his tail come up and go down. That's all you saw of that scene. But yeah, that's like, he doesn't have to be on screen forever. Just let us know he's still in this movie and he's an active character. Give us a little more of him. I would have been fine with that. And then if we got little glimpses like that, it would have finally led up to the final scene. So, fast forward again in the movie, after he fights the male Muto again, and what happens after that? What happens in between that time?
He doesn't fight the male Muto again. After Hawaii.
Yeah, he does.
After Hawaii, they cut to Vegas. Then the bridge scene. Then San Francisco Bay, because right after Godzilla knocks that bridge over, or destroys the middle of the bridge, the Muto attacks the military that's holding onto their nuke, and then he goes into the city. By which point the female
no, they do fight again. Remember, it's when the wife goes into the bunker, and then the doors are shutting, and then the Muto flies at Godzilla, and Godzilla bites him, and then it cuts away.
Yeah, but that's all part of the final battle. It starts there. That's
during the day, though. That happens.
Yeah, and it shows the transition into night.
And then you don't. Well, the transition into the night is the halo jump.
Mm-hmm.
And
part of that halo jump was still during the day when they were passing by Godzilla and the Muto, and he looks over and he sees them fighting. It's still barely day at that moment, and as he lands, it finally becomes night.
No, I remember it being all dark.
It was extremely dark, especially during when they were falling through their clouds. But when it shows Godzilla and the Muto, the only reason they were able to see them because it wasn't dark.
Well, no, they could see him because there was lightning.
There wasn't a storm going on.
Yeah, there was lightning. You can go back and see there is lightning. I'm telling you there was lightning because you keep seeing it flash, and that's when you see Godzilla, and then it flashes, and then you see Mutos on top of Godzilla, and they're fighting.
So there's lightning through the clouds,
but
it's not a storm.
Below. And then down below, it flashes, and then that's when you see Muto on top of Godzilla, and they're fighting. And then he lands.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Muto flies by, and Godzilla is basically chasing him through the city. see it?
So it wasn't even really nighttime. It was a storm. It was dusk, but the reason why it was so dark is because of the storm. So that battle started during the day.
Yeah.
And they were still going into the night. There wasn't a separate battle.
No,
that was
they
the
were fighting
whole
the whole
point.
time. Yeah.
Well, you were saying that there was a separate battle.
Well, I meant like scene-wise, there was a separate battle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Basically.
So then he lands, and then did you have any issue with the rest of the movie from there, where the female Muto starts laying her eggs, and then we see Godzilla come out, roar, and then start fighting?
From that point, it becomes a traditional Godzilla movie, and
Yeah, I agree.
Everything is right with the world because you have the humans doing stuff in between the battle, and it's cutting between the battle and what the humans are doing, and then the humans obviously, help Godzilla out like they always do.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I couldn't.
And see my point earlier that before we even started this, I was talking about Godzilla isn't actually even one of the strongest monsters in his own universe. Because even in 2014, the humans helped him out. They didn't realize it, but they helped him out because if they hadn't blown up the nest, Godzilla would have died.
Yeah, because they were beating the shit out of him while he was down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the only thing I got annoyed with in that scene was it was almost like obviously he's fighting two, and it's hard to focus on two, but it almost like the male Muto just kept getting cheap shots on him. Like he would roar at the female, and then the male would just come out of nowhere, and I would just be like, dude, just focus, just at least focus on that. There's another one coming. Like, don't take a pause or anything like that.
See, that's what I loved. That's what I love about the Monsterverse movie and their approach to these characters, because for once they're turning them into the equivalent of real life animals and not supernatural beings, even though they're portraying them as supernatural beings. Like the way Godzilla's movements were, the way he even during the airport scene, the way he stood up. They talked about how they modeled his appearance, his design after a bear. And it was pretty, it wasn't just modeled after a bear. Godzilla, for all intents and purposes, is a bear in this movie. I mean, his movements, the way he walks, the way he, swims, when he gets up, all of that is stuff that they observed from a bear. And I like that because it makes Godzilla feel a little bit more real. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Showa era and the Heisei. I love all the Japanese ones, but there were just so certain scenes where Godzilla would be jumping up in the air in the middle of on a planet with no oxygen, still alive, or drop kicking Megalon with the help of a robot that somehow miraculously made itself grow. You know what I mean? Like some really far off things. This movie was extremely realistic in the fight scene itself, because first off, he wasn't blasting away with his atomic breath the whole time. He only used he only blasted it 3 times. Literally blasted it 3 times.
Yeah.
All of the other things that were happening, the fact that the way the male Muto was only getting in cheap shots, well, if you watch, Animal Planet or anything like that, and you see, I'm a big fan of watching this African place, Kruger National Park, I think is what it's called. Okay. And I'm a big fan of the wild dogs. Wild dogs are extremely smaller than lions and hyenas, and the way that they fight with lions and hyenas, because when a pack of wild dogs get together, they fight. They do it just like the male Muto was doing with Godzilla. A few of them will come in at the back of the legs, while a few of them are kind of distracting in the front, because they know if they just try to go straight up in there, they're going to get killed.
Yeah.
So that's what the Muto was doing. And I mean, when he did go straight up in there, what did Godzilla do to him? Slam him into a fucking building.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that's how the Muto died. Like, it wasn't because Godzilla blasted him with his breath or anything. He impaled him.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool way to kill him off. besides just, as I said, like the generic, the atomic breath way to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was cool that it's back to what you're saying. It gives the character a personality where, you know, there's a building there. I'm going to slam this friggin' thing into the building and kill it.
Right.
It's intelligent. Like, he's intelligent enough to know that, and I like that. Or I did like that he was smart.
Well, and that's another thing. If you watch some of these animal documentaries, these animals are fucking. We don't give animals enough credit for their intelligence.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
they survived this time for a reason.
Right, and the fact that if we were put in the situation that they're in, you know, we don't have tools or technology, we're just bare naked animals just like them, they would kill us.
Yeah.
They win hands down, and it's not necessarily just because of their intelligence, but my point is, they're not stupid animals. Like, they know what they're doing. Like, when a male lion goes into a new pride, when he takes over a pride, he maliciously kills all the cubs, not because he's hungry, but because he does, they're not his. They're not his.
Yeah.
And he kills them because they're not mine, and my bloodline's the one that's going into the future, not these. And so that displays a degree of intelligence that I love about the Monsterverse monsters, because they're showing that, but they're not being sci-fi about it. So it's really... It makes it almost feel like one of the Lord of the Rings movie, like in The Hobbit, where he's talking with Smaug. You know, Smaug's this giant dragon, but he has this human character about him, you know, this personality. And it makes you forget that he is still a dragon, he is still an animal, and no matter how much he sweet talks the what's his name?
Smaug.
Bilbo.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how much he tries to sweet talk Bilbo into coming out and letting him see.
It was the other way around.
No, he was trying to sweet talk Bilbo into coming out so he could see him.
Oh, yeah. Bilbo had I thought you meant when he was already out.
I'm talking about when he wakes up and he's talking with Bilbo, or he's talking to Bilbo. He's displaying intelligence, but it almost makes you forget that what he's doing is actually getting ready to kill Bilbo. He wants to eat him.
I thought you meant the other way around, where Bilbo was saying, where Bilbo was calling him a bunch of names, and then he says, "Do you think that flattery will keep you alive?"
No.
Yeah, but I thought you meant that. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Where he like devised in his head, like, I need to make this thing come out, and this is how I'm going to do it.
Right, and
problem solving.
And he's not a human, and he's doing this. So, like, whenever we see Ghidorah do something, and this is what I'm hoping for, like, Godzilla 2 to happen, is that Michael Dougherty really goes the extra mile with their battles and thinks about every single thing that happens, from every single blow that is landed, how it's landed, because these are massive creatures, and Godzilla has been shown to bleed in these movies. He's been shown to have, like, take physical damage in the form of wounds. He might get healed up and we don't see them later, but we see them when they're happening, and it actually does happen, which means every hit counts, you know, every scratch counts, every bite counts towards the damage and the stamina these monsters can take from one another. And it's going to be amazing to see what Ghidorah does, because he's got 3 brains.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap this up soon, but final couple of things. So, you said already you liked the final scene where how he kills the female Muto. So again, the other realism part that people had a problem with, and that was clearly noticeable, is something that weighs 350 feet is not going to ninja behind another giant monster and bite it out of nowhere. You're going to hear it coming. You know what I mean?
I guess that's relative, though, because I literally just watched, and I'll link it to you, I literally just watched the other day a leopard walking up on another leopard without that leopard knowing until the very last second, because that other leopard was in his territory trying to hunt, and that, you know, the other leopard wasn't having that shit. And I watched it. This animal, they were the same size, and this leopard snuck up on another leopard and
but
surprise
Godzilla was
attack.
also in the water. You can't be quiet when you're 350 feet and put your foot in the water.
Well, an argument can also be said, okay, it's very hard to explain Godzilla's stealthiness. But maybe the reason why isn't because Godzilla was being stealthy, but because the female Muto had taken a lot of fucking missile shots to the head prior while she was dealing with the humans and a lot of bullets. And maybe, just maybe, she was a little fucked up and disoriented and wasn't paying attention, or was so focused on killing Ford, the man that just killed all of her babies, she wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that Godzilla stealthily snuck up to her, because that's uncharacteristic of Godzilla. And at any point in this movie, he doesn't do that. Like he always roars before he even charges in. You know what I mean? So I don't think the intent was there for Godzilla to be a ninja. But I think where Gareth Edwards failed was accurately showing why the female Muto didn't notice Godzilla coming up behind her.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, I guess if you wanted to make that scene better too, that could have been Godzilla gets up, you hear him coming, and then female Muto is looking at Brody. Brody points the gun. She turns her head. Godzilla's coming. Godzilla charges her, then grabs her, rips her head, and breathes atomic breath down. That would have been cool if we saw him coming, and then he charged at her.
Well, I mean, if you want to get down into the very nitty gritty details about the whole scene, I can explain another reason why she might not have noticed Godzilla coming up to her. Because they were in the water, and if you don't recall, she was moving around in the water, causing splashing and things to happen on that dock, which could have masked the sound of Godzilla walking into the water. Or sounded very...
She put her claw down. You see her claw coming down.
But her whole body was in the water, dude. Her whole body was in the water.
I'm saying, she was in the water, but all she's doing is leaning down. I mean,
No. Before that, she tore up that dock, attacking the humans, and water doesn't just stop moving around and rippling after that. You could hear it in the movie itself. You could hear the water splashing, especially when she was moving.
I know, but still, Godzilla would have to get up from literally a building that's on him, so wreckage would be falling over everywhere and all that shit too.
Well, the building fell on him in the middle of the city, and they were at the dock, which was a significant amount of distance away for her not to have heard him getting up from the building, especially if he decided not to roar.
Yeah.
What they could have done with the whole scene better to make it make sense how Godzilla was able to sneak up on her was instead of her noticing or whatever, they could have taken all the scenes where the humans were blasting her with their, rockets or whatever, their bazookas and shit.
It was just guns. I don't think they used.
No, they had some bazookas there, or some little mini rocket launchers.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll pull it up. Boat scene or final
later. Just finish up.
Anyway.
I want to get to
what they could have done to make it more realistic, one, and explain things too, was because her head was down there getting taking multiple bullet shots and missile fire or rocket fire. It could have messed with her, and Gareth Edwards could have had one little scene showing her scratching at her face or something to show that she was disoriented, so she didn't hear or sense Godzilla coming up behind her.
Yeah, that could have worked, I guess. Or her eyes flashing over and over. That could have been another thing, and her shaking her head or something like that.
Yeah, something to show that she wasn't paying attention, because the way he did it, it only makes it show that she kills him and then she immediately turns her attention onto Ford.
Yeah. So then, the point I was gonna make before cutting that off, because I think we basically touched on everything we had to say with the final scene. So, also going into the movie, I watched Monsters because I wanted to be familiar with who was directing this movie. And right away, I know it was a low-budget film. I knew that right away. This was a very low-budget film. They didn't have much to work with. but I watched it and I said, this is a movie called Monsters. Where are the monsters? And you barely see anything. And then that sent red signals, or red flags. And then right after that, I posted in the group I was in at the time. And I said, this is the timeline I want to see of this upcoming Godzilla movie. I want to see Godzilla. You can cut away, but a half hour goes by, half hour, 45 minutes of human shit. Godzilla comes back, more Godzilla with humans for another part, and then the rest Godzilla with humans. Instead, it was too much humans. And then people were commenting on that, saying obviously, no, Godzilla shouldn't get that much screen time, as you're saying with this post. The traditional Godzilla movies are not all focused on Godzilla, which I wasn't trying to say that, but in old movies, once Godzilla's on screen, he stays on screen for a good amount of time, and that's all I wanted. And I knew going in, I said, this is not a good idea that people are expecting this, and I said from the get-go, is not a good idea, because whether people accept it or not, we need non-fans to go see this movie and to support the franchise. If this franchise was on us fans alone, we wouldn't get a sequel. There's not enough of us, so they have to please both audiences, and the way to please both audiences is simple. You put more of Godzilla in the movie, and then both people are happy. So we needed that to keep the fan base going. So the movie rolls around, and what do you know? I'm right. Everyone says, God, holy shit, Godzilla's barely in this movie. And I said, I told everyone so.
What?
Exactly what I predicted happened. Only lucky part we got is that his name was so big that everyone still went to see the movie anyway.
Right. It could have been really bad. This movie could have been really bad, but it had the names, the actors like Bryan Cranston in it. You know what I mean? It had the fact that Gareth Edwards was the one directing it, and this brought a lot of the fan bases from the stuff that he's done. That brought those fans into the fold. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Michael Dougherty is bringing the Stranger Things fan base with him.
Yeah. My it's funny, one of my coworkers, she was listing off all the Marvel movies that are coming out and the dates. At the end of it, I said, May 31st, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And then she said, I will only go see that movie because Millie Bobby Brown is in that movie. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Go see the movie. We need your support.
I'll take it. Yeah, like, I don't give a shit. I'll take it. Like, put Samuel Jackson in. Well, that's why they put Samuel Jackson in the Kong Skull Island movie. And Kong Skull Island didn't do terrible.
Yeah.
It did, about what Godzilla did.
I think it did a little over, I want to say. I think it did slightly over, which is good.
The problem is, and moving forward, and why I think the 2014 movie was good. It could have been better. I'll say that, but I think what it did was it brought in other fan bases to get them to even know what Godzilla was, because most people don't even know who fucking Godzilla is. You know what I mean? Now they do.
I think he's referenced enough to where just about everyone. I don't think I've met a person ever who didn't know who Godzilla was.
They'll know who he was, but I mean seeing an actual movie. Like, you know how many people know what Star Wars is but have never seen the first trilogy? Like, and especially, and it really, what it really does is it really touches with the younger generation. Because there are kids that know what Star Wars is, and then there are kids that grew up and have no fucking clue what Star Wars is. And that's the same thing with Godzilla. And the thing about Godzilla is it's an even less popular franchise than Star Wars is.
Yeah.
So I think it was good. I think it could have been a lot better, but I'm wondering if all of those changes that we were proposing and making the traditional changes and all that, if those changes would if we were able to go back in time and do that, would the movie been the success it was? Would it have been better or would it have been worse? Like, would it have turned people off, or would it have made them? Would it become something that would have just been a passing fad, like the Transformers movies? Because when the first one came out, it was really good. The second one came out, everybody was still pretty hyped. But when the third one, and then the fourth one, and the fifth one,
the third one fell into the same exact trap that Godzilla fell into when it was introducing things like Shockwave. Like, it tried to make him a major villain in the trailer. Remember? He was
but he was only in the movie for like 2 scenes.
And he popped up, and everyone, including me and my friend at the time, we said, "Holy shit, that is Shockwave. He looks badass. I want to see more of him in this movie." He gets roughly 4 scenes total, 2 of which he doesn't do, 3 of which he doesn't do anything, 4th of which he dies in one punch. So that was... It fell into the same
disappointing.
trap.
It was disappointing, is what it was.
And I used to have this, I don't know why, I used to have this mentality where I would just convince myself that I liked all sequels better than the previous movie. I don't know why I did it, but I just did. And I think the only series that I didn't say that was Jurassic Park. And I still tried to say I like Jurassic Park 3 better than 1. And...
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I'll say why I said that. It's probably because the Spinosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs ever. And I probably only liked it because of that. But overall, yes, if I go back, I will say 1 is the best. The same thing happened with Transformers. I saw the first one. Oh, this is awesome. Saw the second one. Holy shit, that was even better. Saw the third one. There was more fighting, but it still wasn't done correctly. And I was like, yeah, I like this better. But then later I said, no, I don't like this better. And then from there, it just got disastrous. After that, it just was a failed franchise, really.
Well, and then you saw what Michael Bay did with Ninja Turtles, right? The first one, everybody was kind of like, "Oh, this is dope, whatever." But then they made the second one.
I actually didn't see the second one. I really have no desire to see it.
Just don't.
Yeah.
Just don't. Save yourself. Just don't. So, and that's one of the things that really bothers me about the Monsterverse and the Godzilla movies moving forward. I'm afraid of them becoming overpopular to the point where they become a passing fad and start dying off like some of the major franchises are now, like Star Wars. If J.J. Abrams doesn't pull a rabbit out of his hat, Star Wars is dead.
Yeah.
Star Wars will be unwanted. Become a redheaded stepchild.
So going forward, I'm going to leave our listeners with this. Not really spoily, but this is the best I can equate Godzilla 2. So remember in the first Transformers, this is what I thought remembering the first Transformers. Remember when Optimus fights Megatron and it's this big build-up and then Megatron just absolutely kicks Optimus's ass?
In the first one?
Yeah. He kicks Optimus's ass in the first one.
Yeah, he does.
Like, Optimus barely does anything to him. So all of a sudden, remember he comes back in the second movie? All of a sudden, he's a skilled fighter. He's taking on Blackout. He's taking on Starscream and Megatron all in the forest at the same time. He's a much more skilled fighter. So that's what I equate this, and from what I know, King of the Monsters to be. Godzilla wasn't that strong in the first movie, I'll say that, because he lost against 2 Mutos, which were significantly smaller than him. But
well,
I guess you can argue.
Hold up. If he would have been 1-on-1, he would have killed either one of them. But there were 2 against 1.
Yes.
So he was at a major disadvantage.
Yes.
And
but to be fair, we never saw him 1-on-1. So
yeah, we did.
Well, besides
when he killed the male, and then when he killed the female.
Him killing them individually.
That's what. Well, that's 1-on-1. That's what I'm saying. If he was 1-on-1 with either one of them, he would have won.
Yeah.
The only reason they.
So, but the point is, he's not like he wasn't that skilled of a fighter in the first movie. In this second movie, he's going to be a badass when it comes to fighting other monsters. Like, he's going to be much more vicious, even more vicious than the first movie, and he's not going to be afraid to fuck shit up and charge right towards anything.
I don't think. I agree. I don't think he's going to be taking shit from anybody.
He's not going to be a pushover in this new movie. It's going to be the same exact thing where Optimus lost to Megatron in the first movie. He was kind of weak, but he still was able to win with help. In this new movie, he's going to be a badass.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Without spoiling anything, for the fans, he's going to be more badass. He's going to need help still, but he will be much more of a badass from how this plays out.
But it still plays out the same as every other Godzilla movie. Listen, there's only one time that I can think of off the top of my head that Godzilla was able to kill King Ghidorah on his own.
Which one?
Or twice. I'm sorry, twice. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah in 1991, because there was no other monsters. The military didn't help or anything, because remember, King Ghidorah was... Anyway. And then GMK, when Ghidorah was supposed to be the guardian thing, and Godzilla and him fought.
Yeah. Godzilla vs. Gigan,
No. Ghidorah had Gigan.
It was 2-on-2, so it was technically fair, but yeah.
But it wasn't Godzilla by himself versus Ghidorah. Even in the very first time we ever saw Ghidorah, it took 3 monsters, not just Godzilla. It was
3. But
3 monsters.
But if you think about it, I mean, Anguirus versus Gigan and Ghidorah, it didn't do much. He distracted one, but that's about it.
Well, that's also up for interpretation, because I think the only reason that Ghidorah and Gigan actually had the upper hand was because they were being controlled by those action tapes, giving them well-coordinated attacks and assaults.
Yeah, plus the
when those tapes were destroyed, they became disoriented and even started fighting amongst themselves, and that's when Godzilla and Anguirus whipped their asses and sent them back to space. Mind you, they didn't kill them, they just sent them back to space.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's never, I can't recall except for those 2 instances where Godzilla actually beat Ghidorah, and in GMK, Godzilla didn't actually beat Ghidorah. Like, it was it like a draw? I can't remember how that movie ended.
I know he blasts Mothra, he kills her, and then Ghidorah does something where he does kill him first, right? And then Ghidorah, comes back later because he absorbs energy from something. It's that the gold dust is coming around and then he flies up from the ground.
That was all in the same fight. That was a really long fight, but that was all in the same fight. But that was like after he recovered and he got. I think it was Mothra that powered him up anyway. But my point is, Godzilla didn't have support on beating Ghidorah that one, because Ghidorah was the one that had Mothra and Baragon.
Yeah.
And then in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, the Defense Force didn't get involved with their fight at all. There wasn't any intervention like there was with Godzilla vs. Destroyer.
Well,
it's just Godzilla.
Unless you want to count where they blew up the station controlling Ghidorah, and then Ghidorah got disoriented and fell over.
Okay, yeah, never mind. Because Ghidorah was winning until he did
But again, he was being controlled, though.
Right, but assume that Ghidorah had all of that strength that he had, and wasn't being controlled. Because the only reason, and here's, one could argue that Ghidorah being mind controlled and then having that control cut disoriented him, which is what allowed Godzilla to get the upper hand. If that disorientation never occurred because he wasn't being mind controlled, Ghidorah would beat Godzilla.
I still think Godzilla would have got up. I mean, all Ghidorah was doing was stepping on him, but I think Godzilla could have got up.
He was crushing him.
He was crushing him, but Godzilla could have got up. I can guarantee.
Maybe.
But all right, I'd love to talk more, but
we'll save it for the next one.
I think the fans got enough.
We will save it for the next one.
Episode 3. You got any ideas, or do you wanna? My idea was. All right, I got. All right, one of two ideas.
Are you done recording?
No.
Oh, okay.
One of two ideas. We can go next in the Monsterverse, discuss Kong Skull Island. I'll have to go back and rewatch it again, so I'm touched up on it. Or we can do our opinion on all 4 new monster designs. What do you think? Or should I poll it? Or do like a poll and see what people want us to talk about?
Yeah, you should do a poll. We'll see what the fans want, but those are the 2 options. I like both of those, actually. So we should do both of them. We just don't know which one we're going to do first.
Yeah. So we are going to do both eventually. You actually got me wanting to talk about Kong Skull Island the way you said it. Godzilla 2014 set up the Monsterverse, and I said I partially disagree because I think Kong Skull Island set up the Monsterverse more well than 14 did.
Well, as far as timeline is concerned, you're correct. Kong Skull Island did set up the Monsterverse. That was technically the first.
But also with the reveal of the cave marks and everything.
But Godzilla 2014 was the first Monsterverse movie that set the stage for Kong Skull Island to even become a thing.
Yes.
So that's why I say it set up the Monsterverse in such a way as to allow something like Kong Skull Island to be even made.
Yeah.
That's the way it was written.
So even though it was different parts of the timeline and one came first, you couldn't have it reversed because then we would have known about
Monarch. We would have known about all of the stuff.
It would have been Kong, and then we would have known about Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, but only have seen Godzilla and Muto, which wouldn't have made sense.
Right. It like I said, the way the story plays out in 2014, it sets up everything by not giving away too much details or even any details really, because they don't talk about really the Hollow Earth theory or anything. That's all brought up in Kong Skull Island. Like in 2014, the Hollow Earth theory isn't there. It's just the only thing is they believe, no actual factual evidence, that these monsters existed in the Precambrian era.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to be polled. We'll see what we want to do for next episode. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated.
All right.
For our fans out there, this has been Titan Talk, Episode 2. I am Tony, the Atomic Beast, with my co-host,
Spry.
Signing off.
Thanks for watching.
Later, bud.
Later.